Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this Groundhog Day, February 2nd day, 2023. Looks like we're going to have 6 more weeks on winter. I heard on the news this morning that that's only uh, a 40% chance. I'm going to say the groundhog is going to be off this year. We're going to get early spring. Just call it a gut instinct by me. And NBA trade deadline 1 week from today. We're 2 weeks out from the All-Star break. A lot going on. Just trying to get a feel for who's going to do what. National Signing Day. We had the early signing day back in December. The official National Signing Day, college football, was yesterday. We'll talk about that. NBA trade deadline. Who I think can win the championship from what I'm seeing now versus who was in the playoffs last year, who's back and whatnot, and more here on Sports Scope. I'll be back in a minute and 19. Let's get this break out of the way, hit the ground running. Hello, Sports Scope followers. After 5 years of doing this program once a week, balancing a 60-hour work week job, I've decided to do the program 5 days a week, 1 hour a night, taking a significant pay cut. So I've started a Patreon page, which is Patreon, Patreon/SportsScope, spelled the same way at the bottom of the screen you see there. For $5 a month, 17 cents a day, you can help support the program. You ask yourself, why Sports Scope? Well, I bring in such big names such as Al Borges, former Auburn offensive coordinator, and I cover the big news in sports that the corporate media will not cover. If you want to contribute more than $5 a month, you can go use the Cash App. The cash tag is Sports Scope, again spelled the same way, or you can go to the Zelle app, sportscope@gmail.com. SportsScope has about 5,000 followers and growing. If you want to advertise on the program, you can email me. The word is SportsScope, spelled the same way again, @gmail.com. Thank you and enjoy the program. Okay, now I am live here on all links. Like I said before the break, folks, now 1 week from today is Groundhog Day, February 2nd. The NBA trade deadline is a week from today. Teams that want to make moves down the stretch. Now, remember, I don't know if it was last year or year before. Either way, on the trade deadline, there was a blockbuster deal with James Harden going to Philadelphia. We had that in the Ben Simmons, James Harden thing. So big things can happen around the trade deadline. It's a big deal still. There's quite a few teams in here. Now, the national media, if you just watch, say, for example, Stephen A. Smith, if you watch Fox people, okay, Shannon Sharp and Skip, but you would think that the Lakers are like a 1 or 2 seed. And, I wrote down, I took some screenshots here of the standings. You guys wouldn't believe the standings here. You would think, well, the Lakers, they from what these guys are saying, they have to be a 1 or 2. Well, okay, let's take a look here. Okay. The Lakers are 24 and 28 as of today, 4 games below 500. And you expect a team of this age, genuine passion for love of the game, worth 50. Thank you, Stephen Willis. Okay. Hashtag SportsScope. Appreciate it, Pickles. Now, you look at a team like the Lakers, their age, the schedule remaining. I know they're being rumored. I do want to say this, that there is one team here, one site here saying that they're going to be big players in the trade. I do expect them to move off of Westbrook. Okay. Not saying that that's not going to happen. I expect them to move off Westbrook. But is that really going to put them in contention to this is Hoop Central report. Teams expect to be most active during the trade deadline. The Lakers, okay, with the Westbrook thing potential. The Clippers, I'm going to talk about. The Bucks. The Suns got a boatload of injuries. You look at Chris Paul's age. The Suns are sitting there at that 8th seed. Are they going to be buyers or sellers? I don't know. But they are an 8th seed. I don't see the Suns being a legit contender for the for the NBA championship this year. I mean, I think that ship is sailed. Could be wrong. Doubt it. But and another team, okay, the Golden State Warriors. They're sitting there at the 7th seed, and these guys can't win a road game practically. Okay, they would have to make a blockbuster trade to become a real threat to win the championship again. Now, if you look at these odds, according to FanDuel, I just don't agree with them, but I'm going to give them to you anyways, just to give you a heads up of where we're at here. Okay. Odds on favorite is Boston. Definitely going to talk about Boston, what they probably should do, what I'm reading about the Celtics. No, Corey and Andre, know you guys are big Boston fans. Milwaukee. But Boston's plus 380. Milwaukee plus 600. Denver plus 700. Real players in the NBA championship hunt. The Brooklyn Nets supposed to get Durant back, plus 750. Golden State Warriors are just behind them at plus 850. They're a 7th seed, and their road record is terrible. Then you got Memphis at plus 1,000. Now, the 76ers, 21-7 since December, early December. They beat Denver. They're a little bit on a tear here. There's potential blockbuster trades that would happen for them. They're definitely in it. Okay. And then that's followed by the Clippers. The Clippers with Kawhi Leonard been back, definitely in it. That's a team that's played better the last few years in the playoffs without Kawhi. I think that they're going to be players in this. Like that report said, I think they're going to be real players in the trade deadline 1 week from today. Then you got other teams like the Cavaliers, too young. The Pelicans, too young and injured. Then you've got teams like Dallas. They're not there yet. They just do not have, just don't have enough help for Luka right now. I don't think that's going to change. And you got teams like Miami, plus 4,000. Miami, they don't have enough firepower around Butler there to really make anything happen. They're just going to be a day late and a dollar short, in my opinion. Okay, so let's start off with Boston. Now, Boston, that's no news to anybody. Your Corys of the world, Andre, you guys know this team, red hot, blew out the Nets last night. But the truth of the matter is, they're simply not the same team without Robert Williams. Their center, move around all over the place, guard anybody on the perimeter. I understand they've got the best record. I know they got the best record in the East. I want to say they got the best record in the league. They are a team that Jason Tatum playing at an MVP level. You know, you got that plus minus best in the league. Corey, thank you for pointing that stat out. Notice a lot of the national people use those stats. Still learning some of this stuff about the NBA. So they're going to need some insurance here. They're going to need some insurance here. For that center position. The name that keeps coming up is, there's 2 names here. Number one, Pickles, you keep up with the NBA. I'm sure you're still wagering to watch a lot of the NBA games. There's a guy named Naz, N-A-Z, Reed from the Timberwolves. 10 points, 4.7 boards, got 1 assist a game. He's been coming up a lot. That they have some draft. They got some capital there. May demand a first-round pick. I can see a guy like him potentially being traded to the Celtics. This is according to the articles I've read and looked up. Then you have a guy like oh God, what is his name? His last name is Politi from he is from, I thought I had his name wrote down here. Oh, here we go. Jacob Politi and Naz Reid are two intriguing options here. This is according to Boston.com. Now, this guy, Jacob Politi, I'm sure I'm jacking his name up here. Now, he's with the Spurs. The Spurs are obviously tanking. The Spurs really want to get that, like Houston, like perhaps maybe Utah. Let me look else and see who will. They really want to get that Victor Wembanyama, this 7'4" whatever Frenchman phenom that everybody's been talking about for a little over a year now. So they're going to be sellers big time in the trade market. But anyways, so a lot of teams now, the asking price may be too high for this center Jacob Politi, and center out of San Antonio. He'll be a good fill-in though for Robert Williams and Al Horford. Horford's like 36 years old. You're not sure how healthy he can be during the playoffs. And you're really not, even though he's young, off the injury-prone Robert Williams. But they are a really good team. They are championship prime, ready, still odds-on favorite to win the championship. Said that coming into the season. Thought that they had a really good chance to win it last year. Once I saw them against against Golden State, ran out of gas, had too many tough games leading up to that series, and just kind of ran out, and that was a perfectly pick 'em there. I said probably Golden State in 6, and of course that's what ended up happening. But Boston should be playing really well. But these two guys, let me say that again: Naz Reid from Minnesota, and this Jacob Politi out of San Antonio. So those are two guys that they really need to zoom in on. That's what I'm reading. And before I even started doing the research for the NBA trade deadline, that's what I was thinking. They need to have some insurance there for Robert Williams. You just don't want to put this much emphasis. I mean, man, they should be, this should be their year. You don't want to pull back. This team is long time coming to make this kind of run, this Boston team. They had some issues with their head coach. They moved on, suspended him, and now they've got the interim there who's doing really well. It's not out of the question for an interim coach to take a team and win an NBA championship. We know what happened in 1980 with the Lakers when with Westhead taking over. Their head coach then, I can't remember his name, had that bike wreck, if you guys remember. So it's really possible. I think Boston, keep everybody upright, get that insurance for Robert Williams. You got another week to do so. Go in and get one of these centers here. This guy, Naz Reid, be a little bit cheaper. Apparently, this guy, Jacob Politi, a little bit more talented here out of San Antonio. Okay, let's see. Who else did I have on here? All right, now, Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee, as I said before, could they win it? Yeah, but they really need to make a move. You know, the Milwaukee Bucks are a team that I read quite a few articles on him while preparing for today's program. This Dairyland Express, the Milwaukee Bucks are in market to upgrade, so let's rank the top targets rumored to be available ahead of them. Kelly Oubre from Charlotte, we know about that. They really need another shooter there that you just don't know. Like you said, Pickles, the other day, Chris Middleton, you just can't, you don't know when he's going to show up and when he's not going to show up. He's just not consistent enough. They definitely need another shooter here. Bogdan Bogdanovic. There's two guys with a similar name. This is the one out of Atlanta. Milwaukee's love affair continues in these rankings. He's missed the first 22 games of the season. He has returned with the vengeance. His shot making and creativity would immediately help on offense. But the article says not the best defender in the world, but they should, and possibly Middleton could be moved there. They also bring up guys like Emmanuel Quickly, young player out of the New York Knicks, kind of fell out of favor there. Isn't as talented as the guys around him on this list, or is he? He stepped up big for the Knicks and showcasing his skills to further cements my beliefs that he would be a great fit in the backcourt alongside with Drew Holiday. So there's write-ups about Quickly there from the Knicks. And also this article here, and quite a few articles, they mention guys like P.J. Washington from the Charlotte Hornets, another well-known player here to help out with a Milwaukee. Milwaukee has to make a trade. Okay, they're not going to win the championship not unless they absolutely make a trade. They're very Giannis dependent, folks. Trust me on this. If you watch the last few games, particularly that Laker game a few weeks ago, Lakers went up there and beat them. They're it's same thing when they played Boston about 2 weeks ago. So, Washington's another versatile defender who'd be a great fit in Milwaukee. Then that being said, now Charlotte's kind of hinting like they may want to keep him. I'm thinking that's to potentially get the trade offer a little bit higher for a PJ Washington. So, we'll see what happens. They also mentioned Cam Reddish, another Knick player. We'll see. The write-up is I'm not sure if Reddish would see the court if he was on the Bucks, but his low price tag and second-round arms earns him a spot on the list. He could be a bigger part of the deal. He's worth flying around some youth and potential on the roster. So, yeah, P.J. Washington will be a home run for the Milwaukee Bucks, but they're probably going to have to make a big splash. When you've got a talent like Giannis in his prime, do you really just want to get one championship? I know it was well-earned. Brook Lopez, not the best defender in the world, not the most consistent guy. Drew Holiday hasn't really come along from a scoring standpoint like I thought he would be, but we'll see how this plays out. I do think that they do need to make some kind of move to be a realistic player. You look at how they're matching up against Boston. They're just not going to get it done with this very Giannis heavily lean team right now. But we shall see. Now, the Nuggets. The Nuggets are finally healthy. They're also a team that I think they can win it all. Remember, just a few years ago, when they have Jamal Murray, they've also had Aaron, what's the guy's name? Gordon. Made that trade for him last year. Having a career year up in Denver. Joker averaging triple-double. Did not like what I seen the way they finished that game against Philadelphia last Saturday, but I will say this. It's there. When you got Murray back, which that's a big if, knock on wood, cross your fingers with some of these players up in Denver. Denver's a very good team. They're the 1 seed currently in the West, okay? And you keep Murray in there with the Joker, with a who was it? Porter, the other guy. So they are definitely a team that would potentially need a. I want to add some insurance here. This Mile High website here, Mile High Sports here. They also mentioned the Nuggets. They saw fake trade ideas. That's what it's called. Denver would get Naz Reid. This guy's been coming up in a lot of trade conversation, Corey. This Naz Reid. He's been coming up in conversations around articles between Clutch Points, The Athletic, ESPN. This guy from Minnesota has been coming up with talks of Boston, but also with Denver. This Mile High Sports says Denver Nuggets received Naz Reid, Jordan. These are hypothetical trades, not trades, okay? Jordan McLaughlin and a second-round pick. Minnesota would receive Bones Hyland and Devon Reed. This thing says rumors involving Hovland and Reed started this whole trade saga and still makes a degree of sense. Reed would bolster Denver's front court in a big way. He's versatile as a passer, floor spacer, scorer off the dribble, will give the Nuggets a player that they can play through without Jokic there. Joker probably needs some rest. Such a big guy. Highland would reunite with Tim Connelly as a potential long-term replacement for D'Angelo Russell. Okay. Here's another one. This is Zach Lowe. You all, a lot of your basketball NBA junkies, I'm sure Corey would know who Zach Lowe is. This is a potential Zach Lowe special. That's what this site's saying. Denver Nuggets will receive Naja Marshall, 2024 second-round pick via Chicago. The New Orleans received Bones Hyland. So this guy's possibly been a potential trade piece there, okay? Marshall's a 6'7" wing who just turned 25. He has another guaranteed year on his contract after this meeting. Isn't just a rental. He's a fit the mold of Denver, becoming more versatile and defensive-minded, while Hyland goes to New Orleans to be a higher ceiling option for a team with a young core. Yeah, again, Denver's one of those teams. They got to stay healthy. I would try to get some insurance. This is probably their best chance in the West. If you really look at the West right now, okay, if you look at the way the West is, if you listen to the national media, for those of you who just came in late, you think that Lakers are first or second and Golden State's just behind them because they got star power. Well, Golden State's a 7 seed right now, and they can't hardly win a game on the road. And the Lakers are about the 13th seed at 4 games under 500. I'm talking about the teams that have won playoff games last year, even going back to a few years ago to the pandemic year and the year before that, 19 and 20. A healthy Denver team, they've won series. They've won playoff series. They've had an MVP level player in the Joker. A guy who's averaging a triple-double this year with his stars back, with Aaron Gordon playing the basketball of his career, with obviously Jamal Murray, the big one, that they're a totally different team when Murray doesn't play there. You know? Okay. Now, who would be the other one? All right. Obviously, let me make sure. The Nets. The Nets getting Durant back, playing a lot better. Ben Simmons. That they're also being mentioned as a possible team to get this guy, this Naz Reid. He's really hot commodity center there because Ben Simmons has his free throw issues, and also Jay Crowder from Phoenix would be a really good fit with the Nets from everything I'm reading. Now, so this Nets team, we've seen what they can do. I still see their ceiling getting a little bit higher. Just give them some more time. Obviously, they're in the playoff hunt right now. Very competitive right now. Not the situation of last year. Not the guessing of the last year and the year before that. They're a real contender now. So, I do think that they're probably going to make a move here at some point and try to get some help there at that center position, because we know down the stretch you don't want to have the ball near Ben Simmons when you have to potentially, you're in a close game and get those free throws. So yeah, Jay Crowder, a lot of stuff I'm reading. They really want to try to make a move to get him, and we shall see. Awuku Saki. Okay, now also the same with Crowder's also being rumored to go up and help out with the Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia's been the hottest team since December. Heard a stat, December 7th, they got the best record in the league. We saw what they did last week to this Denver team. The question is always the same with Philadelphia. Can Joel Embiid stay healthy in the playoffs? Can Doc Rivers get this team over the hump? I noticed that they put Maxey on the bench, and coming off the bench, Tyrese Maxey, young 22-year-old player, really jumped on the scene last year. He's doing better. His averages are better. He's about 2 points better off the bench. Kind of reminds me of the guy they got starting there in James Harden. Remember when Harden came off the bench, guys, for Philadelphia, for Oklahoma City? I mean, he was like the sixth man of the year of all time at one time. I mean, this dude feared the beard. So you got Maxey there. The stuff I read about the Philadelphia Eagles the Philadelphia 76ers, there's some crazy, I do mean crazy trade ideas from some of their websites here. Here's the wildest one. Now, if this trade is made, it's win the finals, or Doc Rivers is gone, perhaps blow up the team kind of deal. Okay, this is from Sixersense.com. Potential 76ers blockbuster. The Trailblazers would get, in a potential trade, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, a 2029 first-round pick protected, top 3, and a 2026 first-round swap. And, of course, the Sixers would get Damian Lillard. If they got Lillard with Harden, with Embiid, now, I don't know if I'd give up Harris, but maybe. I don't know if I'd give up Maxey. It sounds a little wild. I know. It sounds a little wild. But the Sixers also would possibly be interested in getting Jay Crowder from the Suns. They would give up John Collins, Paul Reed, and Dewell House Jr. from Atlanta in a three-way trade. You know, and they talk about some players from Atlanta I'm sure none of you have never heard of. It's not their big stars here. So, I mean, you know, it's these teams, you really got to think about how close you are. A team like Philadelphia, at some point, you're going to have to get past 1 or 2 playoff wins, right? I mean, you've been building this thing and trading. You've got Daryl Morey. You've got Doc Rivers. You've got Embiid, who's playing at an all-world level. Probably want to watch his minutes once we, because, you know, the trade deadline's next week. The All-Star break's the week after that. I know you want to make your run. Really got to watch Embiid's minutes and whatnot. But the fact that Harden's lost his weight, Embiid's playing probably the best basketball of his career. It certainly looked like it last Saturday. You got this young, hungry Maxey coming off the bench, going to provide you valuable minutes. I could see them doing big things. You want to get some insurance there, though. You can never have enough insurance when it comes to something like this. But, hey, this is his time. This is time for them to make a run. Now, of course, they're not my favorite. Obviously, Boston is. But I'm thinking like I'm a executive here for the Philadelphia 76ers, folks. Okay? All righty, then. I have not forgot about the Memphis. Now, Memphis, I was going to rule out Memphis at first. And then I got to thinking about it. And Memphis being the 2 seed in the West right now, folks. With their depth, I'll say this about Memphis. You know, and there could be essentially a possibility that they simply just need to move on from their coach. You know, but with the right breaks, you know, Denver, the way Murray gets hurt all the time in the playoffs, if Memphis can stay healthy and keep playing high-level basketball where they're not too Ja Morant dependent, this guy from the Toronto Raptors, he's been coming up in a lot of people's this small forward here I wouldn't call him Obi-Wan Kenobi, but that's the guy from Star Wars, a character out of Star Wars. His name is OG Obi. I'm sure, Corey, you know who this guy is. Small forward out of Toronto. Now, from what I see here, the Grizzlies, this is a write-up I got. I want to say I got this off Clutch Points here. Rival executives from Clutch Points says, think that the dark horse team in the Memphis Grizzlies could emerge as a potential trade suitor for OG Anunoby per Michael Scotto from Hoops Hype. The Grizzlies own all their own first-rounders in addition to Golden State's top 4 protected 2024 round first round that they could get a mystery team to repeat it offer 3 first-round picks for the small forward from the Toronto Raptors, arguably Anunoby to squad already boasted with likes of Ja Morant, Desmond Bane. That name's really playing really good. I read something the other day that Bane's considered the second best player on the team now. Jared Jackson Jr., I mean, that's a lot of scoring right there. That's the scoring they need. It shouldn't always be about Ja Morant down the stretch. But from what I read, this guy's a really good player. A lot of promise here for this small forward wing here out of Toronto. Again, his name is OG Anunoby, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Pickles talks about Dylan Brooks here. Grizzlies second in the West here. Pickles says 32-19. Corey says he's a defensive stud in the league and steals. Yeah, this Obi-Wan Kenobi guy, small forward out of Toronto. This Naz Reid, this backup center out of Minnesota, and this Politi guy. I think that is Italian, but I'm not sure. That center out of the San Antonio Spurs. Those players are getting mentioned with Fred VanVleet. Now, I've been following Fred VanVleet out of Toronto for probably 5 years now. He's coming up on the next team I want to talk about, folks. Okay, now, VanVleet here, the Clippers, they need help at that point guard spot here. A lot of people, some of these articles are saying he would really be something here to help out with this Clipper team if they can pull this off. I want to say Hoops Hype. This, let me make sure I got this website right. This is their Twitter site here. They're saying that there's only really 4 teams that are going to be active in the trade market. I want to make sure I get this right before I start this sounding off. Okay, the Lakers, for whatever reason, they want to get rid of Westbrook. But the Clippers, the Bucks, those are 2 serious contenders. They also said the Suns. Maybe the Suns are wanting to get rid of Jay Crowder. That's probably what that's all about. But anyways, okay. So now VanVleet to the Clippers. Now let's think about the Clippers for a second. All right, Kawhi Leonard healthy, check. Paul George. All right. This team's played well they've played better in the playoffs without Kawhi the last few years. Remember, they pushed Dallas pretty hard, and I thought Dallas would just run through them. You could see the talent on this team. I've also read that they would possibly be interested in this Naz Reid guy from Minnesota also. It's like there's a bidding war for this guy. For him to, what's his name, Zerbiak or Zubik from that center there from the Clippers. I mean, this is, NBA is so international now. It's getting pretty hard to pronounce some of these names. But anyways, yeah, VanVleet would be perfect for the Clippers. I kind of like to see that Clippers, Denver, Memphis. Those are the 3 teams that Zubek, thank you, Pickles. Those are the 3 teams there that I really think that's going to win the West. I do not believe in Golden State. Minnesota's a little too young. Sacramento's way too young. I know they're in it. Phoenix is too banged up. And quite frankly, with Chris Paul too old. The Lakers, again, they're 4 games under 500. How long do you think that Anthony Davis can hold up? I'll say this. They play well at times. They look good Saturday night against Boston. And, LeBron acting like somebody ran over his foot with their car when that foul call didn't get called against him in the Boston game last Saturday night. It's good to see Boston beat them. But anyways, I digress. So those teams in the West, those 3, Memphis is still a long shot, guys. They're still young, but I will say this. There's a gradual process. You got to start winning playoff series. It's a different season in the playoffs than it is the regular season. You have to get used to winning series. You have to expect a grind. You have to build a half-court offense. You have to have your substitutions and everything set up right. So sometimes young teams win, but it's very rare. Win meaning winning a playoff series, okay? Let's not get crazy here, all right? Michael Jordan didn't win his first championship till he's 7 years in the league. LeBron didn't win his first championship till he's 9 years in the league. Now, if you're a super talent and you go to a Hall of Fame team with a Hall of Fame player like a Magic Johnson did in 79, 80, yeah, that's an outlier. That is not quite the realistic. He didn't go when Kareem first started. Kareem had been in the league quite a few years at that time. So, those 3 teams out of the West, those are teams that I see potentially making moves here. Let me make sure I'm not keeping anybody out. I had, let's see, part 2 here. Other teams that I did not mention. Okay, again, Golden State, guys. Your top players were 35 years old, all right? You barely win a road game in this league, all right? Pending a monster trade with Golden State. I would probably, me personally, I would try to deal Draymond Green if it's up to me. But don't see Golden State doing it. I haven't forgot about the Knicks. Okay, I'm going to ask Carlos tomorrow, Mad New Yorker Chavez. The Knicks are a 7th seed. I like the Brunson deal. The Knicks, I don't think they can make a trade even though they got draft cut. Now, they go out and get Damian Lillard or something crazy like that. We'll put them back at, some really big star goes to the Knicks. And I know they've got draft capital. I know they've got first-round picks. Not quite sure. The Knicks, as much as I like Tom Thibodeau, this could be like a Memphis Grizzlies situation, guys, that the Knicks simply may have to move off Thibodeau. Give Thibodeau like Mark Jackson. He broke this team in. They got him to play defense. He's setting a winning culture. I like some of their moves, bringing in Brunson, but they're still hovering around that 7th seed. And I don't think they're close to a Boston right now. Don't think they're close in the series to a Philadelphia right now. Probably not even a Milwaukee for that matter, So I don't think the Knicks are really going to be in it this year. And Dallas, love Luka. They're just not. And of course, says they simply need star power. Now, they've got the firepower. I don't know if they'll do something crazy at the trade deadline. Now, next summer, all bets are off. They may make a blockbuster trade. They may go after somebody big. Cleveland, I know Cleveland's playing well. Very young. Minnesota, I'm hearing that their shooting guard there, and I think I wrote his name down here. Means no, never mind. Minnesota, not quite there. Their lead player is still 22 years old. not quite there for Minnesota to make a real strong run this year. Okay. But like I said, Tom Thibodeau with the Knicks, not sure about the coaching. Probably need to add another big star there. Somebody that fits in, though, fits in the culture. I hope they be patient with Thibodeau, but probably need more of a player, a coach that that gets the offensive going more fluid, or bringing an assistant to do so. That seems to be lacking there in New York here. And again, I just mentioned through some of these sites, guys like Cam Reddish, Manuel Quickley, those are players that the Knicks have been dependent on for the past few years to jump off and do something, But it's just not really happening right now with the Knicks. Now, of course, they're the 7th seed. Maybe they get up to the 4, maybe, and make some noise that way, win some playoff series. Maybe they'll keep Thibodeau around. They'll put a big package together and go after, make a big trade in the offseason. But I don't see it happening now. We'll see. We'll see. The Knicks are being in a big market. Big things can happen. Maybe they do something. For what I'm reading right now, it's not going to happen. But if they do, I'll be the first to talk to you about it. And like I said, same thing with this guy Taylor Jenkins in Memphis. Memphis going to have to win a series, maybe 2 series this year to see if they're really the real deal. Shams Charania from The Athletic, he had some news. He broke off earlier. Now I know that Danny Green's just coming back with Memphis. He's 35 years old. I don't know how healthy or how well he's going to play down the stretch. But here's Shams Charania on Jared Vanderbilt from Portland possibly being involved in a trade.
I'm Shams Charania, powered by AT&T 5G. The Portland Trailblazers have emerged as a strong suitor for Utah Jazz forward Jared Vanderbilt. Sources tell me Portland is among a few teams showing interest in Vanderbilt, who appears increasingly likely to be dealt ahead of the February 9th NBA trade deadline. Vanderbilt is averaging 8.5 points, 7.8 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists a game in 24 minutes per night for the Jazz in his 5th NBA season. And he was among the pieces that Utah acquired in the Rudy Gobert trade.
Yeah, the Rudy Gobert trade. I mean, Ainge is just stacking players after stacking players. Man, I hope that Utah can find a way to get in that Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, man. I know Houston's ahead of them, and I know the Spurs, they're really ahead of them. And again, this Pilati guy, the center for the Spurs, hot commodity. Him and, again, this Nas guy, Reed from Minnesota. Keep an eye on those guys. They are going to make some noise in the trade deadline. And again, those teams that I mentioned, you hope they all make a move. I want it to be interesting. I really do. I remember a team, not all the talent in the world, but I remember one year around the trade deadline that the Detroit Pistons made a move and got Rasheed Wallace. And what do you know? That put that team over the top. Billups and everybody, Chauncey Billups, put that team over the top and help him beat that good Laker team. So I'm looking for a move like that to be made. That's what I get excited about the trade deadline. That was just one that stuck out. I know there's others, but that was the one that I remember. I remember Phil Jackson saying, "There's nothing we can do with this guy. You can't defend that jumper he's got at 7 foot, or he's right at 7 foot tall." Really good series there that they played against Indiana that year. But that I'm saying that stuff like trades like that can really take you from being a contender, a playoff contender, to a championship contender. So anyways, we will stay on top of that, folks. I'll stay on top of that. I think we're going to have a really good playoff season this year coming up in April. I'm just curious to see. I hope it's not too quiet come the NBA trade deadline. All right, now there was other news. There was National Signing Day. Last time I talked about this in college football, it was the early signing day. Well, there was still quite a few five-star players that had not signed yet with teams. But now, Wednesday, National Signing Day passed yesterday in the college football. Also, Alabama. Remember, Alabama lost their offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, to the Patriots. Bill O'Brien went to New England. Now they're looking at a guy named Tommy Rees from Notre Dame, 30-year-old offensive coordinator. I mean, what an honor if I'm 30 years old. I'm the offensive coordinator, and Nick Saban, the great Nick Saban from Alabama, is courting me to come be the offensive coordinator of the Alabama Crimson Tide. You go from being on TV, but you're kind of falling behind your head coach there, to being on the biggest stage in college ball with Alabama, being on major TV games just about every single week when they're playing conference play. So that's what Chris Lowe of ESPN says, courting him. Now, Wake Forest had this really talented quarterback named Sam Hartman transfer to Notre Dame. I'm wondering, because I've been curious about Alabama, who, by the way, finished with the number one class again. They solidified it. They got those kids to sign the ink. They got those kids to sign the ink there and go ahead. They got 9 5-star guys, by the way. Okay. But I would like to see them get this guy, Sam Hartman, there. I'm not really in love with their other players at the quarterback. One of them, Jalen Moreau. That was the guy Pickles that filled in the Arkansas game. Remember when Bryce Young got hurt last year? Guy's really fast, but he's not really a pocket guy. You need a guy that can play the quarterback position. When you're playing against LSU next year, you need a dual threat guy. He can't just be a running quarterback, and he can't be a guy that's going to sit back there in the pocket and potentially get. I'd much rather have a pocket guy, but really you need dual threat if you're Alabama. When you're playing LSU next year, when you're playing a better Auburn team who's coached by Hugh Freeze next year, when you're playing they're a series, and I'm about to bring this team up here in a minute, a Tennessee next year, okay? But, again, 9 5-star players for Alabama. There's been talk about their yes. So, Kevin, Alabama is courting their offensive coordinator. I wonder if that offensive coordinator from Notre Dame recruited through channels Sam Hartman from Wake Forest. I wonder now that the new rules, I don't think he can transfer again to Alabama, but maybe Notre Dame lets him out of it. That is something that I'm thinking about. Even if they don't get Hartman, Alabama's got they got one true freshman they actually may bring in from what I read. They're Alabama. They have so much talent, but that's my biggest knock on Saban right now. Only thing is he has not really got into the transfer quarterback thing yet. And I think he needs to go that route. That's the next big step he needs to make. Again, they got 9 5-stars. According to 24/7, which balances out all these recruiting services, guys, this is the 3rd best class of any one year in the history of their ranking system, and that's Alabama's this year, okay? But another team that's got a lot of talk about over signing day is Tennessee. They got the 9th ranked class, and I'll play this reporter here from this is a bite I got off the internet, a sound bite talking about what is his name? It's like Nico Lema. I'll just call him Nico from California. 5-star quarterback, second overall prospect now. He's the second overall behind Arch Manning, not the second overall quarterback, the second overall prospect. Making a lot of, you think about Josh Heupel's offense and what they did throughout the regular season, even their other backup there, who's going to be a senior this year at Tennessee, Joe Milton. He looked good against Clemson in that win that Tennessee got in the Orange Bowl. First Orange Bowl appearance and win since 1999. Listen to the write-ups about Tennessee here and their class.
All the great recruits that are coming in here, but we
got to start with the man at the top, and that's Nico Iamaleava. He has been committed to Rocky Top for, as long as we've known who this kid is. What is it about Nico that makes you think that he can come in and make a really quick impact, Blair?
He's got so much confidence in his own game. You see him there wearing pink. He started coming out with the pajamas that were kind of his trademark early on in the recruiting cycle. But then what he does on the football field is just truly tremendous. He's got all the arm talent in the world. And I really, truly think when it's all said and done, we're going to look back and think of him as the highest upside quarterback in this class. He's really good at keeping his eyes downfield, but he's also able to escape the pocket when he has to, picks up those tough yards. He had about a 25-yard scramble in the Polynesian Bowl, facing some of the best competition he's ever faced as a high school quarterback, and he just looked like the alpha among the alphas. So I would have loved personally to have seen him against Arch Manning, because that's the 1 versus 2 battle. But I think Nico and his upside, his potential, the way he projects, you got to be super excited at.
Yeah, see, the guys is gloating about him. This 24/7 report there for him out of Tennessee, Notre Dame, Alabama. Kevin says just go with Nico. He fits the glove. So looking at him, he's a cross between Marcus Mariota and Trevor Lawrence. He's got that the height of a Trevor Lawrence. He's kind of got that release of a Lawrence. Kind of got some speed like Marcus Mariota of Oregon when he played at Oregon. So this guy's really got a big upside here, the Tennessee quarterback. Now, going through all the other rankings here, the usual suspects, right? Like I said, Alabama number 1, Georgia number 2. Now, Texas at number 3. Now, Texas, 2 top 5 classes. By the way, Texas will play Alabama again. That was a home and away game. So they're going to work in
recruits that are coming in here, but we've got to
Texas is going to play Oklahoma. They're going to play Alabama again. Now, here's the thing. Texas, they got Arch Manning, Steve Sarkisian, head coach. Going to be a lot of pressure there. This is going to be interesting. Can he beat out redshirt sophomore now, basically going to be a junior, Quinn Ewers? Remember, that was the quarterback. Had some really big moments last year. Played really well against Alabama in week 2 last year. This past year, remember, he got injured in that game. Alabama hung on, barely won in Austin, right? But he was really underwhelming against TCU. This guy's got a lot of NIL money. Quinn Ewers. I haven't read anything about Quinn Ewers transferred, Kevin, but because Arch Manning, he's a Manning, he's got the big name, true freshman. Can he beat out Quinn Ewers? If he beats out Quinn Ewers, who's also got an NIL deal, also a 5-star guy, a junior, then that would say the guy's truly special. I don't think it has anything to do with name recognition, because technically, if you really want to look at it, the way this team played towards the end of the year, losing like that to TCU and losing to Texas Tech got a good coach this year. You can make the argument that Sark is on the hot seat. I think the only reason they really kept Sark around is because you've got guys like Arch Manning coming in. You got another top 5 class coming in. you're going to have to start seeing some results here. The fans are going to start to get antsy in Austin. You know, I mean, they open up against Rice. They play at Alabama. They got teams like Wyoming, but they got to play, obviously, Oklahoma, but they got to play at TCU next year. Texas Tech at home, at Iowa. They got a pretty favorable schedule other than playing at Alabama, because Oklahoma, I think Brent Venables will probably get canned next year. This guy had a top 10 class too, you know. But going back to Tennessee real quick, they open up against Virginia, at Florida. They play at Alabama, but they also have to play Texas A&M in Knoxville. Got to play at Kentucky this year. Now they got Georgia at home. So Tennessee's going to be interesting. I think Milton, remember, Kevin, I think Milton will probably get the start here. Again, if a guy like Nico beats out Milton and Arch Manning beats out Quinn Ewers, that tells me that they're really killing it. Now, just to be frank here, let's take a trip down memory lane to Trevor Lawrence. I didn't think Trevor Lawrence was going to beat out the fifth-year senior his true freshman year at Clemson, guys. I remember that. And he did. He was Trevor Lawrence. So Nico and Arch Manning, they have that kind of hype from Texas and Tennessee, the two commits, that could beat out really, but it would really be surprising if Arch Manning beats that guy out, Quinn Ewers. Man, that is just talk about a lot of pressure and big man on campus. But we'll see. You know, they're going to have their spring game April 15th, Saturday, April. A lot of spring games going to be that day. It's going to be an interesting fall count. And remember, not this coming up season. I think 24, right, Kevin, that Texas will officially be in the SEC. So playing Alabama next year, that's kind of getting them warmed up to play in the SEC. Kevin says, I'll be honest, I believe Quinn is better now than he could have changed in a year or two. Quinn Ewers looks really talented. Like Pickle says, maybe he's just pressing too much. Got a big NIL deal. It's a guy with the mullet. Really talented. May have been pressing a little too much last year. Maybe he calms down a little bit more. He's got some big-time players around him. And you know they're going to beat the crap out of Oklahoma. Their schedule isn't really that bad. If you just lose to Alabama, I mean, let's go over that schedule again. Okay, Rice, 48-0. At Alabama, Wyoming, at Baylor. Baylor's good. Okay, Kansas, that's in Austin. But now remember, Kansas got a really good coach also last year. Okay, and then they got Oklahoma after Kansas. They got a bye week at Houston. Houston's decent some years. They should beat Houston off at bye week. BYU at home. Kansas State, another very good coach there. Remember, they were in the Big 12 championship game last year. They beat TCU last year. Remember that? And then they got to play at TCU after that Kansas State game. So maybe they lose one there. And then at Iowa State, remember Texas Tech beat them last year also. If they lose all 3 or 4 of these games, Texas will be looking for a new coach. I don't think that's going to happen. Still very early. But if you're a Texas fan, you got a lot to look forward to. You just hope that all this hype just don't just seem just what it is, hype. Kevin says Nico for Tennessee will compete there with Milton. Some saying, I did hear one report, one analyst said sometime in midseason he sees Nico taking over. And I'm thinking, yeah, well, I kind of poo-pooed Phil Steele, college football writer, when he said that about Trevor Lawrence beating out a fifth-year senior. And he was right. I was wrong. Not only did he beat that guy out, he beat Alabama that year and won a national championship. And he would have been the number 1 overall pick if he were eligible that year. Pickle says Arch Manning will pack the stadium he plays in. He had some issues getting registered on time. I think it's good. I wouldn't rush it if I'm Steve Sarkisian. You want this guy to be relaxed. Even if he just sits the whole year, I'm okay with that. Because again, I think they go into the SEC next year. Let him sit in, let everything settle in. Some guys mature faster than others. Eli didn't mature as fast as Peyton. But look, Eli, much more cool, calmer in the big games later on his career than Peyton, if you ask me. Well, shoot, he's got 2 Super Bowl wins over the great Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, big throws. But he wasn't that great early. But as his season went along at Ole Miss, he got some big wins. I remember watching him power some big comebacks here. So it all remains to be seen. Can't wait for college football. Can't wait for all that. I know we're 7 months off, but hey, yesterday was National Signing Day, and I just got to talk about this stuff as the news comes in. And again, can't wait to see what happens in the NBA and the trade deadline there. Tomorrow, I'll be back here. Mad New Yorker is going to ask him about some of these huge NFL hires, Sean Payton and everybody. D'Amico Ryans this week, Tom Brady retiring, all that good stuff. So if you guys like the show, share the show. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place here on Sports Scope.